Hi, this is Jim, and this is Second Chance, a moped podcast.
And welcome to everybody to another week of Second Chance Moped Podcast. We're here, we're back, we're in the basement. I am sick. Got the flu. Telling you, if you want to lose weight, have a nice little flu bug. I've lost like 8 or 9 pounds. It's been awesome. I haven't been able to. I went to work today and they just kind of looked at me as I wandered around the factory. They just kind of, my boss just kind of laughed at me. He's like, "Do you just want me to send you home?" I'm like, kind of nodded my head because you can't. I will always go to work. I'll always show up, and he just sent me home. So like, but no, as many of you saw on the page, I have gotten now some of the most domestic rare bikes as a part of my collection, but I did sell one of them. Last year, Lee Pinkerton and I went out east to grab some Grand Prix and Mondials. And I never did anything with the Grand Prix. It's like, it was one of those things, it was the allure of it. And it was like, oh, ultra rare, blah, blah, blah. And like a chance to go road trip with a buddy. Okay, whatever. Got it, kind of played with it. Then Bakers came along, and then riding in the summer came along. So I really did nothing with that bike. And I got it running for a quarter second. Then the coil, I've never seen a high tension coil go out, but this one did. It ohmed to like, yeah, it didn't ohm out anymore. So like, okay, well, so I gotta get one. And then finally, somebody who I know was like, this, I'm not gonna throw this person under the bus, but they will buy rare bikes, and he's local, and people who are local know who this is. And I just threw him a number out there, and he said absolutely. So he came and picked it up, but I knew I had this bike in my back pocket. I did have you ever just researched Pook? It's amazing what you can find on Facebook Marketplace if you just look at Pook. I found a Mondial. I found a Mondial that was complete, and I'm not going to tell anybody what I paid for it, but it was cheap. 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 So I got a Mondial, but I had to drive to basically Illinois. And so it was like, I woke up Saturday. I felt like shit. The flu thing was starting to come, but I drove 5.5 hours and it was weird because when I went to this town out in the country, I don't know what it was, but like there was strip club after strip club after strip club after strip club. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? And it was pretty rad because I got to go pick it up on the road. It was called McHenry Road, and last name being Henry. I was like, hey, this is meant to be or something. But yeah, I got it home, and I felt like an idiot. And I finally figured out what happened. But like, I'm sitting there looking everywhere. There's no kill switch on this bike. I'm like, did somebody delete that already or something? So finally, I hit up like the two people who I would maybe know who had Mondials. I hit Lee Pinkerton up, and I hit Jesse from the Magnetos. I'm like, those are the only two people I think have touched Mondials that I know of. And they're both like, yeah, there's a kid. Oh, Jesse Stevenson too, because I know Jesse's a French guy. I'm like, they're like, yeah, there should be a kill switch on the right hand side. I'm like, nah, there's nothing. I go, is there a key? I don't think there is a Mondial. So and they got rid of the Gertner carb already. I think it's got like a it's got a Makuni like 16. It's super small, super small. So I'm kind of excited, but I gotta get plant that. But I'm sick, so I can't. I almost wanted to call the show off today, but like it gave me reason to kind of mope around the house and clean it up and blah blah. But I met this person just about a year ago ish, we'll say. I met him at the Zero Swap meet, and just kind of you meet the coolest people in mopeds. And like Jackson, I say this like every third guest, especially ones I've met in real life. Moped people you just kind of click with, especially weird ones. At least I think he's weird because like I'm weird, and like fun to be around. Got to hang out with him a little bit at the Cleveland rally, but then his buddy had to be a punk and get all sick, and they had to leave. And He knew. I guarantee the fucker knew he was sick when he left. I'm just calling a spade a spade. But I'm just gonna let my guest introduce himself.
Hey there. I'm Jackson Farley, and I live in Detroit, and I work at Detroit Moped Works. And yeah, I'm from everywhere. So.
He's you're kind of like the Johnny Cash song, I guess. So Jackson, here on Second Chance Moped Podcast, we go through people's moped journey, i.e., the very first time they ever saw a moped to like the smile ride, middle part of the journey, and what's like today. So Jackson, let me ask you this: what was your first memory of ever seeing a moped? Not necessarily getting on, but you can conceptually remember that's a moped.
You know, I don't know if I watched the movie Amelie before or after I met a moped, but
what movie is that? Amelie, I've never heard of.
it's like I don't know who directed it, but it's like a super arty film, and it's about a very quirky, cute girl she has a really vibrant fantasy life in her head, and she lives in France, and she meets a boy, and they do all sorts of things. But the guy has I think he has a motorcon, and
Okay.
they're ripping around down and riding dubs and having a great time. And I remember thinking that was pretty cool. It probably was after, but that's one of the first things there. And then really, like, I had never seen a moped, like, ever, from the places that I was like growing up.
No, you say, and I'm going to pry a little bit in your personal. You say you kind of moved everywhere. So were you a military kid, or were you just that your family just kind of transient like that, or what's up with that?
Like, my mom and dad, they went to college at UW River Falls.
Okay.
And my dad was a football dude there, and he got a degree in broad area art, which is a thing you can do in 1982, I guess. So, but he started, he got in graphic design, and he was jumping jobs, and my mom was also, she had her own jobs and stuff, and they had us. And within, like, I'd say the first 10 years of my life, we moved probably 7 times. So from Minnesota to Wisconsin, to Minnesota to Wisconsin, just all around that area. And my dad was working at different places, and then he started his own business, and then the dot-com boom happened, and then the dot-com bust happened, and then, like, he started another business. So it's kind of like the Monty Python, like we built that castle and it sank into the swamp, so we built another on top of it, sort of thing.
So very so it sounds like you got some entrepreneurial parents, and like, yeah, dude, that's fucking, it's life, dude. And it's, trying to always, I think that's the realization when we get older. Our parents are just as crazy as us, and they're still trying to figure shit out.
And that really was, like, it was kind of evident. I mean, like, kudos to the man. He's great at keeping it stoic, but there were definitely some, like, we're eating fancy food sometimes, and sometimes it's macaroni, and that's all you get, sort of stuff. But, like, it definitely, like, rode that roller coaster as a kid. But, like, my folks I feel lucky they're still together and doing their thing, and he has a business in Cedarburg, Wisconsin, which is a little white picket fence town. But I guess sometime around, like, so I had gone to college for like 1 semester, and I came back, and I remember I was riding around on my bicycle, and I passed a garage sale, and there was a moped in the garage, and I was like, what is that? What is that thing? That's cool.
See, pause. I'm pissed at all you fuckers who find mopeds at garage sales, because I think it's a goddamn urban legend that doesn't exist. No, okay? I'm gonna let my resentment go away now, but I think it's goddamn fairy tale. Okay.
Well, I mean, don't be too jealous because you know what it was?
Jawa?
A Jawa.
God damn it, yes! Because
Yeah.
I actually did see a Jawa motorcycle at a garage sale, and some guy was bragging how he had the biggest Jawa collection in Minnesota. I'm like, I didn't want to hurt his
That
feelings, but I'm
sounds like
like,
a problem, buddy.
it's like, dude, that's like saying you're the fucking nicest guy in prison. Like,
Oh,
that's awesome. Like,
yeah. I don't know. I found it and like I think I paid like $150 for it. I like scrounged around and I was like, you gotta have this thing. And I didn't know anything about Moped Army. I didn't know anything like that.
and let me ask you
But
this: I'm a timeline year guy. Do you have any clue what year this was?
I was like 18 or 19, so 2008, 2009.
Okay.
And I remember getting it and like it ran mostly. I mean, looking back, it probably didn't run that great, and I bet it only went like 25.
Well,
But like
that sounds top performance for
I
Jawa.
was about to say, that's some hot mods, and obviously someone had like I looked back and like someone had previously like messed with the thyristor thing, the weird ignition like coil thing they have. So like it had obviously been like worked on at some point, but it was just this beater Jawa, and I just rode it all over town and like just tearing it up through like soccer fields and like just shredding this thing for all it was worth. And then it broke. And big surprise,
Yeah.
mopeds broke.
Yeah.
Got to break real hard. And I didn't know what to do because I didn't know anything about like I had never taken shop class. I had never taken anything like that. So it was summer and I'm out of college and I don't know, I was just like Googling around and I found out about the whole moped army thing and I was asking some questions and I found out that the Cream City Cranks were in Milwaukee. So I rode my bike down to Milwaukee and
Where are you at this point? Like, how far of a bike ride is that?
half an hour car ride, like a buck
Okay.
and a half bike ride. Depends on which way you take. So yeah, and I don't know their my credit to his credit. I don't know if you have ever met him, but Dez.
Yeah,
He
Des and I bump shoulders here and there. Like, super nice guy. Yeah.
Yeah, he ended up answering. Like I sent him like a PM on Moped Army, and I was like, I hear you're in the cranks. And I was like, I got this moped. I don't know what to do. And he was like, come down here. I'll show you the garage. We'll take a look. We'll see if it's fixable. And like, I rolled down there with no moped the first time just to like meet these dudes. And then the second time, I think I had my dad drop me off. I didn't have a car at the time. And
Now, was this at their old shop space they had back in the day?
so this was between shop spaces. So like they I don't know what the deal is now, but they had a shop that they had to leave. And then they have this like backup shop called the Cave. And it's like a little carriage house on the corner of like I think it's like Fratney and excuse me, like not center, some what basically
whatever.
west, just a little seriously piece of shit house, and it's just crammed to the brim with like moped shit. And Des lived a little teeny triangle on the top, and so he invited me by, and I was like, whoa, these guys are kind of like hardcore. I don't know, like, and
I imagine that's pretty intimidating, just being a kid walking into that and like moped, and like
yeah, it was. I just remember being like completely shell shocked. I was like, dude, there are so many of these awesome things. Like, what is going on? And we like tinkered with it a little bit, and he was like, we'll see if we can get it, and I'll give you a loaner and come on one of the rides. And I think I jumped on. I think it was a Batavis of some sort. It was like Regency or whatever the fuck that like the it's like the computer, like old computer color.
Okay.
The like
The cream
the
color.
yeah, it's like cream top
Yeah.
tanky thing. Probably did not go that fast. And I had like a Pro Tech like skate helmet on. I was
Yes.
looking awesome. And but basically I jumped on and rode with them for a little bit, had a great time. I crashed once just to make it official,
Dude,
and
that's yeah.
had to happen. And then I don't know, I was like, this is really fun. And but my moped doesn't work. And they were like, they threw some things around. We're like, how about this? Des was like, give me this spike and I'll get you a good deal on a Pook.
Yeah.
Because Pook's the thing to get because it's simple and like I know how to deal with this and you don't have to deal with weird Java problems. And I was like, sure. And I ended up, I forget, I was working at like Target or some garbage place, and saved up some dough and got a Pook Magnum that was a real claptrap with for $600, and
Yeah.
it was a ZA50, and I still have that bike today. It's
Dude,
my
that's
favorite.
so awesome.
So,
Is that the one you bring to rallies with you?
mm-hmm.
Dude, that shit makes me so happy.
Yeah, I
Um,
I love that thing.
yeah, I have. Actually, I can't. I have like remnants of my first bikes because, like, I
They've
kind
been
of.
chewed up.
Well, they've been chewed up, beat up, spit out, and like I don't know how much is left of it anymore. The frame's there, I think.
Yeah, well,
Sure.
like mine, the only Magnum thing left on it is like the forks in the tank.
Okay.
And like the tank barely even, but like I just sold the rest of that stuff because I was like, I just want like go fast parts. Like I
Yeah.
don't care. I'll put a skateboard on it. Turns out it's really comfortable. Like
Yeah. Turns out that's a terrible
it's
idea.
really not great.
Right on. So you got that Magnum. Got it running. Was it? Did you just keep it bone stock there for a while? Were you? How did you start to learn about mopeds? Then is kind of my question. Was this kind of just hanging around the cranks a little bit, or were you reading up on the MA stuff? Or
I spent a fair bit of time on MA because like so I was in college at the time, and so I had to leave. So I wrote the Magnum with, and I went to college up in northern Michigan, so NMU, and it's in Marquette. So I don't know if anyone here listening has seen a map of Michigan, but Michigan is two Michigans, and
mm-hmm.
there's the hand one, and then there's the top one. Sorry, I'm doing this wrong because I can see myself. But the it's up here, so
you're
in the crotch
you're
of where your thumb meets your other hands, and it's basically like winter for 5 months out of the year,
try
and
7, but close enough.
it depends on the year. Uh, it's they get like anywhere from like 150 to like 220 inches of snow.
mm-hmm.
It's a crazy wonderland of a place, and but like I went to school there, and I hung out with the cranks in the summertime, but like I couldn't really hang out with them from 500, 600 miles away.
No,
So
kind of hard.
yeah, doesn't work that great. So I picked up what I could hanging out with those guys when I could, and
Mm-hmm.
then I don't know. I a lot of it was just learning how to keep shit running. I remember like
Let me
at
ask you
first,
this though. Let me ask
yeah,
you
yeah.
this.
Go ahead.
Did you try what the fuck? Um, I'm an asshole. I forgot what I was gonna. It's the every new person's thing to make the bike perform better. Um, it's that shit that's supposed to dry water out of gas.
Oh, like fuel additives and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Did you ever like God? What the fuck? Yeah,
and
whatever,
like
dude.
marble mystery oil or
Yeah, yeah.
whatever.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like there was definitely a fair bit of that because, like, I don't know, like I'm
No.
going to the auto parts store and like I remember when I first got the moped, like we went to a little like tiny hardware store and he was like, "We need a cork." I was like, "What do we need a cork for?" And I was like, "The transmission, it'll like spit everywhere." So it was a ZA50, and I I don't know, I went to like I remember I saved up and I bought like a techno circuit,
Hmm.
and I traded somebody for like a Bing 14 or something. But like that's kind of it. And for like probably 4 years or something, because like I never kitted the bike. It had whatever comes on the Magnum Mark II, so I think it's like the high torque. Um, so it was like pretty all right. And
Yeah, I was gonna say with the ZAs, if you're doing that techno circuit and a 14 bang, you're keeping up with most ride nights.
mhm. And like it went like an appreciable 35 to 40 depending on how badly it was running at the time.
Hmm.
Because like I I guess the big thing was like I I loved riding it, but the thing was like I didn't have anybody help. And up until probably like 2 years into being there, there was no other moped people. So I would get what knowledge I could. And then I spent a bunch of time looking at Moped Army and like drawing mopeds, think about mopeds, and
So the
just like,
bug hit you fucking hard, is what you're
oh,
saying.
yeah, it was bad. And
Yeah.
like, I, I tried to get other people into it. There were a few folks who were into it. There's ended up some other buddies. A buddy of mine got a Hobbit that was beat to hell. A buddy of mine got a little Pook Maxi, and we rode around for a little while. We tried to do moped gang thing, and it didn't. I don't know. They were being grown ups and or not grown ups. I don't
Yeah.
know, but basically, I I learned a lot of like how to do stuff with very little tools and very little anything, just like using what you got. And I think some of my favorite stories and things that I like hearing about in mopeds is like what did you do to make this happen? Because like I remember Des, before he had any, like he didn't have a puller,
Hmm.
so to pull the stator off to like I needed to like replace a coil or something. We just we just sat in the back and whacked it with 2x4s. Just whacking on this thing and turning it, whacking it, and it would fall off eventually. Like
Jeez, I love it.
I my the same crank in there is great, but like I don't know. It's just one of
That's
those things
fucking
that
beautiful.
like you since you're like kind of stuck up there, you catch stuff. You hang out at like there was like mutter dudes and dirt bike guys and all sorts
Hmm.
of stuff. They hear hearsay, but like I don't know what I'm listening to. But I start getting into like doing shop class stuff and start. I'm have to work on the moped, so like I don't know. It got me really interested in it, and between that and bikes, it was just like the as I progressed in my knowledge there, I felt like more confident to do things. So,
Right on. And you talked about up until a couple years into college, like no real mopeder people. Had you branched out and hit any of like the rallies or rides or anything like that that MA was produced like coming up on the calendar? Because you
well,
were in
like,
the heart of like the Ghost Rider days and all that
yeah,
stuff going on in Michigan. So,
in the summers, I would
mhm,
sometimes like have enough time to go jump along. And I remember going to I think it was a Hot and Ready's rally, which was fucking crazy. And it was I don't know, even I remember riding like dubs with Cowboy and like just like all sorts of silliness at that time. And I think that was near like end of my personal college experience. But like before that, a lot of more like local ones. So I think
mhm.
I went to one or two of the build and gathers in the wintertime, and then I came and rode. I think I rode in GR
Okay.
and like some shit in Madison, but like mostly just locals, nothing like countrywide.
And are you going to Build and Gather this year?
Uh, if I can make it.
You should, because I have to. Well, I'm going because I got to deliver a bike there, and I said I would,
Oh,
and so I got that going for me. I gotta go to fucking Toledo again. Love you guys. And then
I
I'll
might
go
go
up.
to Toledo the next week or
Oh
this week.
well, say hi to all the zeros for me,
Oh, I will.
and I might go play one more game of pool because I'm now 2-0 at pool in their shop. So ran.
Dude, you got to quit while you're ahead.
That's what I tell them. I'm retired. Like
Tired.
I ran the table on Andy, and I'm a terrible pool player. I ran the table on Andy one time,
No, you
and then
got to
I
drop that.
quit. And then Jared goaded me into playing the last time I was there, and Jared had me beat. And then I fucking ran the table on him, and I had like a dead stick, I guess. I don't know, but I'm just like, I ran the table. He was getting all hot and bothered. But I was like, "How can you be beating me? You got a terrible stick." I'm like, "That's the problem. You expect to play well. I don't."
I feel like that's a lot of my like life experience. Like I'm probably going to be not great at this, and then when you're like pleasantly surprised by how great you're doing, it's like you don't even get speed wall, but you're just like, well,
Yeah.
this is awesome. I'm not going to question this at all.
It's not a problem if I don't know about it. That was my baker's mantra. Oh yeah, but so you did some local stuff. You talk, yeah, you did some local stuff here and there. You did college for a while. It sounded like. What was
Didn't
like
work.
kind of growing up in what?
Said college didn't work out that great. I
Hey,
about 2.5 years in realized that was an expensive time for something that I wasn't very good at.
yeah. Don't worry about it, dude. I got like 3/4 of a degree I paid for and never finished. So, hey, and I make more money now doing what I was gonna do. But whatever. Um, so you did all that. Like, when did you start to kind of branch out a little bit more? Because like it sounds like you didn't just go stay local per se, or maybe I just kind of
Well, like I I met a good friend of mine. Actually, he's coming to visit tomorrow. My buddy Trent. He's like I think he's like 2 years younger than me or something, but he was. I remember he followed me in his Subaru. I was driving around in Marquette and or riding around in Marquette, and he followed me and he was like, "Oh, this is creepy. Like I probably shouldn't be following this dude." I don't really remember that, but he he had built a bike with some of the Ghost Rider guys and had been riding around there, and then he came up to MU and he brought his bike and we at the art building. um he ended up leaving like a note on my bike and he was like, cool moped, like let's hang out sort of thing. And we ended up hitting it off and just cruising around all the time and like ride mopeds, breaking mopeds all the fucking time. And I don't know, it was one of those things where I was like, finally, like we have like I can I can go play and this is really sweet. And so like the we I think one of the big things about Marquette that was really cool is like for being a really tiny town, it has a fantastic music scene.
okay.
Like ridiculously cool. I I feel spoiled in that like I don't know whether there is a music school there, but I don't think that's just it. All the towny musicians, it's not just bar bands. Like it is a there were show houses and there was like a new band every other week. Like it was bringing like really wild acts up through the
Mhm.
university, and then like I don't know, it's this weird kind of like microcosm place that I just feel like I got the coolest introduction to like punk rock and like all sorts of just neat experiences. And one of the, I mean, I was the moped kid
Mhm.
that
Mm.
I played that part because I was the only guy with the moped. And then Trent came up, and he and then my cousin with whom I lived and we were just all cruising around having a great time. And I ended up leaving there just because I don't know, life happens, and I needed real money and a job, and moved to Milwaukee. And I remember I was like, I think I I I didn't have a house for the first month. I was living in the crank shop.
That's always a great life experience when you say I lived at the moped shop.
Yeah, it. I remember like having to drive to work, and there was no food there. There was just these dumpstered like chips. There was a Lay's factory, and there was dumpstered chips. But the thing is, people ate through like all the good chips, so all that there was left was like the Dinamitas, the like those like Taki things. So I'm like cramming these things in my mouth. I'm like driving my stupid car to work. Like I don't know. It was a harrowing ordeal, but it was all I remember,
Character building is what we call
yeah,
that,
my
Jackson.
character was huge after that. But I just remembered that being something where I hung out with them a lot more once I moved to Milwaukee, and like uh, I want to thank Alex Grow helped me a lot with like I don't know, just like I don't know, I was like bum poor and trying to find a job and trying to find places, and they helped me get a place, and they helped me figure out some shit, and like they were always really awesome to me. And then I met like there's just like a lot of cool local like moped people. And I worked at the little bike collective there, and I was a bike courier, and I I had a lot of crazy shit to do. But like all throughout, I think I spent about 4 or 5 years in Milwaukee. It was always mopeds were a part of it. I didn't
Hmm.
do a whole lot of rallying. Like, I don't know. I didn't have time, a lot of work, a lot of stuff. And I went to MA20 at one point. Like, that was a wreck. Uh,
Yeah, yeah. Did you?
built
Were you? Let me ask
loose.
you this before we talk about MA20. Talk some shit. Um, what what were you doing with mopeds? Like you said, you're hanging around the crank stuff. Like everybody's got their thing. It seems like in mopeds, like some people are. They've always got something going on with bikes, whether they're buying, tuning, ride. Like what was it? What were you falling into? Is what I'm wondering. Like, were you just keeping your bike alive at this point, or were you start? Or was that performance bug kind of getting you?
When I moved to Milwaukee, it was the second build together I went with, and I so like I guess to refresh, I got a ZA50
Mm-hmm.
with my bike, and now that I know them, they're not as scary. But like when you're people are like, "Oh, the ZA50, it's you can't do much with that sort of thing," and you're like, "Yeah, but it's really sick." And I started like in Marquette. I remember getting the nuts up to open the transmission and like see what was going on inside, and then there's a lot of like that's where my like I spent a lot of time on Moped Army because there were no local moped people.
Mm-hmm.
So like I remember going to visit the Castle Rollers in right before I had to go back to school, talking to Marty Cokes and talking to like Tyler and those guys, and just trying to
Like
I think
I heard you went to the Marie's old place at one point. Like I think Jay Kane was telling me like yeah, like you partied at the
yeah.
moped complex. I forget what the hell it's called. Like it was before
Mhm.
my time. But like yeah, dude, like I didn't realize cuz I don't know how Jake put this 2 and 2 together, but he's like, oh, that's Jackson. Yeah, that guy's been around forever. I'm like, and
Yeah.
this is like, we were just bullshitting. Like, I think it was after the swap meet I was talking to him. I'm like, how the fuck? Yeah, whatever. Okay, rad, dude. Like,
Dude,
so
Jake, that was one of my favorite. It wasn't even, I feel like a lot of times I haven't gone to rallies. I just show up to people's rides.
mm-hmm.
And it's always such a blast. Like I remember going to Minnesota. I'm trying to piece together what time it was. It was like I got a loaner, I think. Uh maybe. I can't remember. But all I know is I went and I rode with Tyler, wife, and Jake, and all those guys, and I don't know. We now went out to some like little restaurant on a lake, but in the excuse me, getting there and like we like went like off road and it was just like people were like falling in the back and it was just this crazy like dusty time and it's nighttime. People are like passing real fast on the side and it was just like I remember just like having a smile wrap twice around my head and it was just it that's the sort of adventure I like where I guess I'm kind of an Irish hello sort of person, you know, the whole Irish goodbye thing where people just don't say goodbye.
Yeah.
I feel like I just sort of like to show up because I don't like the whole like, oh, he's coming. I just like being there. So I remember.
Same here, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice to just be like, oh, hi guys. So, but yeah, that I think around about the time I was leaving Marquette, I was like spending a lot of time on MA trying to like there wasn't that much information readily available on ZAs. There was one like I think if the picture thread thing for like rebuilding them, it just had just appeared. And so I remember like building some tool out of like a traffic cone and like some other bullshit to like swap my like clutch springs. And so like I feel like I always pick to do the hardest thing to start, which makes me very slow, but it also makes it so that I'm like learning very intensely. And I think that's my favorite thing about mopeds is like you can carry whatever knowledge you learned about one bike to another one. And it's really fun to be able to like help people. It's really fun to be able to like watch other people work on bikes and be like, oh, how do they do that? Because I don't know, like I've had I've owned 4 mopeds.
That's it.
And
Wow.
that's it. Like I haven't I've helped with a lot of different mopeds, a lot of other building things, but like I don't know, partly the moving around so much thing, like I can fucking fit a bunch of mopeds. And also like I don't know, I like there's sort of kind of this animistic sort of like, ah, that's my steed, it's my pony sort of thing. So like I I get attached to the thing, so I don't want like a whole bunch of new things to deal with. But like I when I got to Milwaukee, I was like, I'm gonna rebuild the ZA50. I'm gonna rebuild it. I'm gonna kit it, and I'm gonna make it fast.
Awesome.
And I I like it was one of those things where I was like, jump in. And after having talked with a bunch of people and like kind of gotten my whole like messy project together, and then I remember just like I took the thing apart at Build and Gather, and then I put it back together in my kitchen, and just like the whole process of like freezing the bearings and heating the cases and doing all that sort of stuff for the first time, and then like having to shim the thing, which is like the scariest thing of all. But like it, I don't know, it worked out. I had like on rod pressed by some guy. It was just this like long kind of ordeal of like, got all these few things and then go. And it worked out. And it was fast and it was fun. Uh,
Was
I
or
don't,
is?
still is. I
Okay.
don't. I actually. So funny enough, this right now is the year of E50s for me because I've never owned an E50.
Mm-hmm.
I've always just like helped other people rebuild them or do other things with them, but I had never owned one. So I was like, all right, like, let's play with this. And so,
Well, dude, that's
I,
what it was supposed to be for me. Like I
yeah,
had like this not to interrupt you, but like I had
no, no,
no plans
yeah,
to do bakers this year. Like when I went to the swap meet and met you for the first time, zero. Like I had a baker's bike I tried to put together, failed at, blah blah blah. That's why it was supposed to be E50 for me. That's why this Pook is in the basement. I'm like, fuck yeah, trade that. I'll rock a E50 all around. Well,
yeah,
after cleaning my shop and like kept walking around, basically tripping over this baker's bike for 6 months, like if I fail at something, I hate that. Like I felt like I failed, and like
yeah.
it'll drive me fucking insane. And like it kept, and finally sometime in February or March, I just had to ask my job for the time off, and they said absolutely, and then we rocking and rolling. But yeah, I wanted to play with single speeds more this year, and it was just yeah, all hands on deck, get that baker's bike done, and it is what it
That's
is.
awesome. I mean, and I think a lot of people will talk shit about like, I don't know, something's not difficult enough or like, I, there's
Anything can be
so many.
difficult.
Yeah, and for me, like I think the thing is, it's like I wish I like looking back, I wish I would have had an E50 because I would have experimented way more
Hmm.
with things, but I was very like slow and cautious and methodical about it because I had to keep a Z850 alive in the Northwoods where treats take 7 days to get to you. So like it was, and that was my ride to work. So like
Yeah,
that's the sort of thing where it's like I feel like maybe there's a recipe a lot of times, and like I like to compare for people who, if I start talking about mopeds to people who probably don't want to hear about it, but here they are.
hmm.
I like to say that the E50 is kind of like it's like the AK-47. It's the standard.
Yeah,
It
small block Chevy.
yeah. It's just it works. It works well, even if you treat it like shit. And like it's really easy to clean it out, rebuild it, and do it quickly. And
It's
like,
hard to kill it.
hmm and like I'm not even fast yet. I mean, I work at a moped shop, but that's a huge like I just feel like I'm brain blast all the time. But like I think there's a lot of complexity. Like I my second bike, I bought a Hobbit while I was working trail in Arkansas, and there's just so many variables.
Oh,
And I
dude,
think
that was
that
my first bike was Hobbits. So like
you had a Hobbit. That was your first bike.
first bikes were
Before,
Hobbits, dude. And like that's what everybody said, like, and that shows you like just my pure stubbornness not to give up on shit. Cause like, yeah.
there are a lot of things going on under your leg, and
Yeah.
like I'm still like I right now the Hobbit that I've been science projecting with, I have a DR kit on there, and I've tried to build like the Buddy Hobbit, but add a VM20 on it, and I've done umpteen modifications, and it still just wants to fucking volcano. And
Dude, cause you wanna know why? I'll fucking plant my flag in the ground.
plants,
DRs fucking suck because
yeah,
and I was talking to I think it was Jesse Stevenson in Kansas City a couple weeks ago. It goes because their fucking cylinders are out around half the time, and like
really,
that's what I might be misquoting him, but like I have seen so many people. That's the running joke. They have like 3 or 4 seasons in them before they go to shit on you. Dude, I
oh
ran. Okay, so I had a brand new DR kit on a bike I was borrowing out in Mosquito Fleet. I ran perfectly fine Friday night. I ran wide open throttle for like miles on the Saturday ride. And then we filled up with gas, put oil in like normal, ran for about 5 miles. I was falling right behind Ryan, Montana, and all of a sudden, whoop, just fucking locked up out of nowhere.
think
Yeah, it's like, and then
It-
the thing about it was, I let it cool down for like 30, 40 minutes, and it never hard seized again.
and I feel like there's a part of like the cast iron cylinder thing, because like I seized my um my Magnum a few times. I seized the stock kit a few, and I guess like I was always doing like performance stuff, like what I could with the tools I had, but like going down a hill on a summer day,
Mm-hmm.
like it's super hot and it's probably too lean because I've got an air leaker on the edge of the bang sort of thing. Like I've seized a few bikes, but like cast iron cylinders are awesome because like you can just like put battery acid in it and go and it melts right out and it's fine.
Yep.
And so as long as you got the baking soda on lock, you're good. It's like I don't know, that cast iron shit is sweet to me because it's you get a few chances. You
Yeah.
could and like you could throw a clip and you could have a giant Grand Canyon go through it, but it's less likely. So it's just yeah, the DR has just been like
Just get
I
a
did
Molossi. I'm telling you, go get a Molossi kit or a Polini kit. Like I've
Andy
never ran Polinis yet.
bought me a wizard kit. Andy bought me a wizard kit. I'm gonna play with it when I have some time. And that was an awesome birthday present. And I've been it's funny, it's like all wrench no ride because a lot of working, a lot of stuff this summer. So I haven't had time to really mess with the habit. I got things to test, I got things to do, but like it has not been forefront. So it's
Mm-hmm.
just been having that single speed because like I don't know, I feel like I'm going back through like my knowledge of mopeds, and then now that I have this single speed that I have to ride and like experience for whatever, it's such an eye opener to like the root causes of what's
Mm-hmm.
going on, like learning about like piston port, like fuel delivery curves, and just
Oh,
like all the different stuff that you can absorb with your little human brain. It's just so nice to be like, well, there's only between that piston exploding and that wheel turning, there's only two gears and a chain and a clutch, and that's it. And
mm-hmm.
so like, that's been really sweet because like I don't know, is I feel like I learned a lot
And
just like
that's a
that.
whole new world to learn is the piston port versus the case induction. I mean, that's with the Hobbit. That's kind of why I'm excited about that. But now, I mean, I probably won't get to that. I've already given up. This is not getting touched for a couple years already.
Yeah, that's all right.
Hey, I got a basement. It can. It's good. It's good
I don't,
wall art. I'm lucky like that. What can I say? Um, so what was it like going through that single speed? Like just learning different things about it. What was the most challenging versus like um a ZA to a single speed Pook?
well, I think a lot of it is like, I mean, I had a ZA, so I'm spoiled in the fact that like my bike takes off because I
Mm-hmm.
got two gears, and I mean, I've did the flip the clutches and I've screwed around the clutch springs and stuff there, but they're really not actually tunable. It's just kind of like they're the same chip in the Tomos, so you get like there's three colors, and it kind of matters. Um, but like I think the ZA was able to cover for some like bad tuning, and aside from the fact that like my bike wouldn't idle that great on certain days, uh, and
Idling is way overrated, dude. Don't
I
let
only
anybody.
do it when I stopped.
Yeah.
Like, what,
You just
what's
blip the
the point?
no, you just blip the throttle and just get everybody
Oh
in
yeah,
Minnesota pissed off at you. Like, why won't your bike idle? Fuck off!
no, I'm a Harley. Thanks.
Yes, yes.
I I don't know, the it has been nice because it is alternately more forgiving in that like there's less shit to think about, but also less forgiving in that like if my bike's wheezy off the line, there's a reason for that. And
Hmm.
you got to figure that out. And for me, I don't really care that much about top speed. It's more so I want to be able to jump up and keep up with traffic, and I want like the some of the smile ride factor in my life. I remember Des put me on his Hobbit for the first time and being like, "Whoa, what the fuck is going
Yeah,
on
dude.
here?" And like, I don't know, I rode a French bike once, and like, I don't know, just a lot of it is like where it's the takeoff.
Mhm.
It's and all of a sudden you're blasted. I mean, it's a moped, so you're not wheelies off the line unless you got something truly crazy. But like, it's it's one of those things where I had the ZA and it could cover my ass on that, and so now I'm like, I'm messing around with the hero kit, and I'm messing around with like learning how, like, I got a luggage scale. I borrowed one from one of the dudes at work so that I can actually like balance the clutches properly and make
Mhm.
sure everything's happy and weighed right. And so it's nice. It feels like the easy bake oven, because it's like I get to do like one thing and then I get to see immediate results from that
Yep.
one thing. So that's really cool. And I feel like that's been, I don't know, it's nice. It's cool. I I think like as someone who people are E50s are kind of like a passe sort of thing, but I feel like I've just been going through the like, okay, I have a 2 shoe, I have a 3 shoe. I like the 2 shoe because I can do this and I can check whether they're balanced on a vise. It's tight. So like there's I don't even have any of the big like performance parts because there's such a cool backlog on MA of like I'm going back to 2006, 2010, and just like looking at these old threads and going, all right, this is what they were doing here. And like, shout out to like Graham Motzing has so many awesome write-ups. Like his stuff is, I got to ride with him a bunch and rode with his brother Noel in Milwaukee, and
Love Graham. Noel's awesome. Yeah. The Matzo boys. Matzo balls. Yeah, yeah, the great.
that's the bounce.
um but
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's another challenge because I'm not a speed dork. I'm a performance dork, I'll say. Like I want my but I always tell people I'm not chasing speed, but the problem is if I know whatever the bike setup is, if I know there's more in that setup, I have to get it out of it because otherwise it's going to bug me. It's going to drive me nuts if the bike isn't performing correctly. Like if I don't have that consistent takeoff, whether it be through clutch tuning, variation, belt, rear contra, I mean anything. If like none of that is right, I for bike for bikes, I just can't accept good enough. Like it has to be
And I
right.
think it's to some degree, it's like it's something that I'm trying to make peace with, is like I'm a tinkerer
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know when to leave well enough alone, which is
Mm-hmm.
why I have gone through periods of my bike being super broken. And since I only had one for a long time, it was like, well, what do I do? I don't have anyone around to tell me what to do, so I have to figure out what to do. But then, like, once you're riding, and it's like, yeah, but it's a little wheezy off the front. Like, I feel like maybe it's lean, maybe it's rich, maybe it's X, maybe it's Y. And tinkering with all those things is really fun, but like, I think maybe it's this sort of like life thing where it's like, can I call something good enough? And I guess like working at the shop has been tight because I have a guy who's like, "Yeah, it's good enough because you worked on it long enough." That's like cool, but like I think there's a part of it though where it's like, yeah, I definitely want, like I live with my buddy Andy, and he's he's a super smart dude. He's an
Yeah.
engineer. He he has helped me so much in just understanding things because he knows why things do what they do. And for me, it's a really fun thing to learn about. And while I probably couldn't take the math classes, I sure do like knowing about fluid dynamics. So
Mm-hmm.
like that's the sort of thing where it's like I get to be privy to the knowledge and have someone tell me a lot of stuff, but also he's like, oh, I don't even know what that mixture screw thing is for. And I'm like, yeah, but you have to like dial this in. And I'm like, I, I'm always trying to make it work better a lot of times. And I feel like the whole sort of like physician heal thyself thing, a lot of times I'm just trying to keep my bikes from exploding. So like, yeah, have you ever seen a picture of that stupid DR cylinder?
Which one?
The one,
Yours?
yeah, mine.
No.
It looks like a fucking bionicle.
Oh, I'll have to look. I'll have to find that dude.
I'll
Like,
send a picture.
but speaking like good enough,
The,
like I encourage you and everybody listening to this to do bakers at some time, because you learn on on like a 200-mile day, a 300-mile day, whatever. You learn like we're not pulling over because the bike is going 45, 40, and that's good enough for right now. You can
yeah,
always fix it when it because that's what you can fix it at night. Like it is not a problem right now.
yeah, and that's something I wanted to do this year, but just money, work, and had some family stuff come up, so it was just like I guess it's not happening. And I saw a bunch of the cool stuff, Yellowstone. I was like, oh man, I want to do that. But
Dude, they're starting in the Salt Flats and then in New
what?
Orleans. Yeah.
Oh my god, that
Yeah.
sounds so.
Yeah. It's gonna be
Maybe I should fuck it up with a ZA50.
dude, I think you should. I'm
Or
gonna
bring
do
that
my
motor back.
yeah, I'm doing my Hobbit again. I'm gonna bring that back, just change a few things. It's gonna be a hell of a time. Like I think if you look at it, and I kind of got to thinking about it, like I think the terrain is gonna be kind of the same. It's gonna be a lot of rocky stuff, a lot of mountains, and then we're gonna get in some flat, boring prairies. Because believe it or not, Utah and Oregon are pretty fucking flat and boring until you get to the coast.
It's you wouldn't think it, but
No.
yeah, they're like it's a plateau.
Yeah.
You look at that on a map, like there's just there's a big rock that went, and
Yep.
that's all you get. So
Yep.
like, that's something.
Idaho, same thing. Like I said, I've never been so bored on a moped in my life. Like wanting to fall asleep. Like just I could take a nap right here. Like whatever.
It, I definitely. Funny enough, I think one of my first like I would think it was like 15 or something, and my folks had me drive because we didn't take very many vacations. We took one vacation. We're out skiing out west in
Awesome.
Montana, and that was super cool.
Where'd
And
you go?
Red Lodge. It
Dude, we
was
stayed there.
yeah,
Yeah. Fuck, that was a miserable day. Like
yeah.
it was so goddamn miserable. Like the scenery was beautiful, but like and I gotta give a big shout out to Perry's RV campgrounds. Great, great people. But I tell you what, I rode 30 some miles on a gravel road on a moped. Fuck that.
Oh, come on, man. That's all they
dude,
got.
dude, oh, it was terrible. And then all we did was climb mountains and climb mountains and climb mountains and climb
Dude, that's
mountains.
fucking sick. Let's do it.
Yeah, at 25 mile an hour, baby. You're fucking just like, God damn this shit. But no, it was absolutely it was absolutely amazing. And then like you go on one side, it's all like forests and all that. Then you get on the other side of the mountain and it's like almost desertish. And it's like the weirdest mirage you've ever I mean, you get mirages in the Midwest a little bit on the highways.
Yeah,
like,
where you get the shimmer.
yeah, a little bit. But dude, this is like unlike anything I've seen in my life. Like it seemed like a quarter mile down the road, there's a fucking ocean there. Like I could, yeah, dude, it was nuts. But like, anyway, sorry, I'm.
Oh no, dude. I mean, this is I know it's your talk show, but you can talk too.
People hear my stories all the time, my guy. Like, no worries.
All I know is that like I've been one of my like big things when I was younger, I don't know, I was hitchhiking and biking and bike touring and like I did tiny bit of train hopping. I didn't actually fucking train hop at some point I wanted to, but I don't know, you meet enough train hoppers and you go, that's a gnarly time. Uh like the I did a lot of like the big jump off adventure sort of stuff, and I've always watched the Baker's Dozen, and it seemed like something that seemed I don't know, just goes along with what I like to do,
I'll
which
send
is
you a picture of Cowboy and I rolling through Yellowstone. Like,
hell yeah.
yeah, dude. It was I tell people this all the time. If you like moped riding and you love speed, you gotta do Bakers sometime in your career. And like not everybody's into long distance riding. When I say like more than 20 miles. Like it's and I'll say this to anybody every day. The most comfortable seat in mopeds is a 78 Hobbit Springer seat. Hands down. Like
Hobbit Sprinter seat.
yep, the 78 one. Dude, that's what I had for Bakers. And it was like my butt did not hurt. Like it was just it's mentally draining, it's physically draining, but like in the overall scheme, my butt didn't hurt. Like I wasn't like hemorrhoids out the ass. Like, nah, I was
Dude,
good, dude.
I you're talking to a guy who I like my job in the summer, while right now I do DMW, part of the equation when I first came on was like, I do this thing, you have to deal with this. I do bike tours in the UP. So like
Right on.
I ride 50 miles plus a day for like 3 weeks straight, and that's easy
Yeah.
stuff. So like
You do
it's
Bakers fine.
I would love bakers. Also, I'm with you on I have on my bike, I think it's like it's a chopped like maxi seat, I think. I don't know. It's like the little square one with the little like it has like the fastback thing on it,
Okay, yeah, yeah.
leather or vinyl, whatever. And like, yeah, those like little block seats are so comfy
Mm-hmm.
because they're it's just pillows between
Yep.
you and them.
Yep.
And it like you don't need any like craziness, you don't need anything else. it's it's like a leather seat on a bike. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big people, and like I think mopeds have set me up after working in different bike shops, working different stuff all my life. I am not a huge gear snob. I don't really get into that sort of thing. Some people really like talking about that sort of thing, but like I'm just like, well, I know this works and I like this and this is comfortable. So like I don't know why you have to like keep trying to find like I don't know, you want an ergon saddle?
Yeah.
How much does that cost? More than my paycheck? Okay, sure, whatever. I don't want to talk about it with you, rich old man. Like
Yeah.
it's I feel like mopeds are kind of similar where I love seeing people just it's like, no, this is what I had, and I made it work, and I found out what I liked, and I pitched what I didn't.
Yep. Yeah, yeah, dude. Like I when it comes to like a daily rider bike, I always tell, especially Hobbit people, I'll always tell you, and again, I'm not endorsed by anybody, so these are my opinions. Don't bother with front hydros. Get yourself the good rear shocks, the EGR or Erco
The
shocks.
Pro Boost ones,
Yeah, yeah, the $150 shocks,
they're
and
nice.
like
I will give you that.
get those far before you get the front forks because those I have both. I have like the Erco shocks on both my Hobbits I ride all the time, and I have hydros on one, and I have the stock on the other. Can you feel a difference? Yeah, but is it? I don't know if it's worth $250 difference. Like,
So I'm gonna hit you with a little bike shop knowledge. You can change the oil weights and
mm-hmm,
also the pressure in those forks.
yep.
It will change your experience a lot.
I and I haven't played around with the dampening on those that much. Is it smoother? Yes. Is it?
Yeah.
But like, I can tell you this for like a ride comfortability, I noticed more of a difference changing my rear shocks. And if you really think about it, where's all the weight on a moped? It's on the rear shocks. So
It's
like, yep. And also, I am not, again, if you want to start changing like how the Hobbit feels, get yourself an MLM subframe and get rid of all that flex in that. Unless you want to reinforce your subframe, people, like I've done them both. I've
I
done
ended up.
MLM. What was that?
I said I had to do that. I broke a subframe and like they're I they were out of the MLM subframe at the time, so I was like, fuck it, I want to ride.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna booger weld this thing up and like watch it on my shoulders. Like, great cuts, bad welds. Like, sure, but fucking it'll run. So, and still on the bike. He has a
Yeah.
broken. Yeah, dude. Like the stock subframe is like so flimsy.
It's
Oh
so
my
flimsy.
god.
But like, and you probably felt a major difference once you reinforced that subframe.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god! Like you don't realize how much they flex until you do something about it.
Well, they flex enough where if you have a high enough power bike, like I did some mild porting to the DR, and I don't know. Maybe there's a solution for it, but I'm tired of looking for it. Regardless, uh, when it wasn't trying to be a volcano and I was riding it, I remember I think I bent the subframe, but like the bike put out enough power where it would steer weird because the frame's like bending
Yep.
because you're under power, and it felt like the rear wheel was
You would
like
have a rear steer
out of
to it.
line.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dude.
super
That's fucking great. Yeah, I've had that. Yeah, it's great.
yeah, not my favorite.
No, it's like, why in the fuck am I dog tracking? Yeah, it's
But
great. But before the podcast, and we'll keep going with your story, since we're just kind of bullshitting right now, you wanted to talk about, because we were talking about the Mondial I picked up.
yeah,
What's your step through top tank deal you're going to talk about?
so I bought a mag.
Okay.
I came in hot
Came in hot.
came in hot on the top tank game, and after owning a top tank for my entire mopeding life, I guess I love the Magnum because it is big and it is sturdy and it is a great bike.
Great bike.
But
Beautiful
it's
thing.
not a moped really. Like it's a little baby motorcycle with the
Mm-hmm.
pedals. And which is okay. That's fine. It survived me. And I've fucking crashed that thing. I broke before it did, sort of thing. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but like I after traveling around and getting loaner bikes, and also just like especially when you're up and you're, I don't know, I'm like 22, 23, and it's 2 in the morning and I'm looking at, do you remember there was like I think it was called Ped Show. It was like a blog spot thing, and it was just people collected a bunch of moped like photos and stuff. And I'm like just flicking through these things and looking at them because for me, a lot of times it's aesthetics. Like mopeds
Mm-hmm.
is aesthetics. Like yeah, it's fun to ride them and it's fun to work on them. It's fun to do all that sort of stuff. But also, there's a part of it where like when you turn something from like a stock item to something that's yours, and whether it's on purpose or whether it just becomes that way because you've had it for so long, I think it's this really cool like exploration of character art sort of thing. But
Mm-hmm.
I love custom bikes, and looking at that, realizing after years of that, and like I have the Magnum, and of course like the grass is always greener somewhere else, but like the step through frame is just such a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm.
So wonderful. And like after getting the Hobbit, I prefer the step through.
You
it's
heard it
because
first.
I prefer the step through. It's maybe it's not like I prefer the Magnum for comfort, but the step through just feels way less serious. Other people like who aren't moped people take it less seriously because they're like, "Yeah, it's like a girl's bike or
Yep.
something," and like so it's this joke to someone else, but you as like a person who has this weird boner for these things, it's like I don't know that
It's a moped, dude. It's a
it's
fucking
a
moped.
moped.
It's a moped. It's what a moped should look like. Okay, it's not a pretend motorcycle anymore.
No,
This is what it's designed to be. The Pook.
I
If
I
you
saw
look at it like a
Thor.
Pook Maxi, that is the template for a moped. And I'm
Yeah,
a Hobbit guy, dude. Like
I
a fucking
you want to
moped
know?
is a step through, and plus I like it because I'm a little disabled from my leg, so I don't
Yeah,
have to whip my leg up and over. That sucked them
yeah,
bakers. Like,
dude. Friggin' step throughs as like so here you ready? I'm gonna drop some bike nerd knowledge on you.
okay, I'm all about it.
Frame is not a I'm gonna put the finger quotes on a women's or hers frame. It was invented for Western Union messengers because it was quicker to get off of and huck the bike down so that you could run up and give somebody a telegram and then jump back on the bike.
Hmm.
It's a performance thing. And like I don't know that it's such its own entity. I think like what's the most beautiful moped to you? Because I know what mine is, but I want to hear
Well,
what or at
what's
least the one you first.
honestly the most beautiful moped right now? It's got to be my Fast Hobbit, dude, because I put and I well, it's twofold. It's two things because I fell in love with the loaner from Mosquito Fleet, and they kind of did some stuff. They had like a white seat on there, and I think they had a white wheel cap, but theirs was black and everything like that. And I kind of dug that look to it, so
Yeah,
I bought the same seat that they bought off of Treats. I put a white wheel cap, and mine's a '78, and it has so it's like white on yellow, and like I just think and it's got a front Hobbit mag on the front, and it just I think that '78 Hobbit is maybe it's because it was my first moped is so beautiful, but that
yeah.
Mondial I picked up with that blue that pops, that's the new chicken town that's beautiful and everybody loves. Like that that's my sexy bike right now, dude. Like the way that blue pops, like that's the cute one, but like my '78 Hobbit with the wheel cap and the white seat, that's like
Yeah.
the loyal one, the one that's always going to be there for you. So,
Yeah, and anyone who sees my bike will notice it has a bit of a patina.
yep.
So like it's but yeah, there's something that like the shoe that's lived in sort of thing gets
Mhm.
to a bike that I've never had that I remember so the first one the one that I think is the coolest, but also I don't know, like so one of the two of the cranks or two, one crank and one X crank had Califos, a
Okay.
Rosado Califo. And I think that the black and red with the silver thing, like a well aged Rosado Califo, is like the coolest looking moped of all time. It's like it's cute, but it also has like it's like it looks it looks like a fat bulldog or something. It's just like little little nugget
Yeah.
of like the engine is this little bubbly thing and the tank is like this really awesome red and the writing is cool on it. It's got this really sick like gothic like fracture sort of thing going on. I just think like as like an aesthetic object, if you're looking
Mhm.
at a moped, I think that there are some like I like hobbits, but I actually kind of don't like the tank. I don't know. I like my hobbit. I like that it's been my like weird crazy science project for 3 years. And like I think that it is fun, but it's not my favorite bike yet. I think that like
And let me
I,
tell you why
but
it might not be your favorite
yeah,
bike yet. Because you haven't made it reliable.
no.
Because of the DR, dude.
Wants
Like
to explode.
because
When have you ever seen 450 degrees on a temp gauge and gone, well,
sounds about right. Like that's a
yeah,
fucking DR kit, dude.
sure.
Like
I just don't know how that happens. Like,
fucking DR. That's how it happens. Fuck a DR kit. I'm gonna like destroy Treat's sales for everybody who listens to this. Like, I'm sorry. I think they're junk kits. Like, that's why I just said fuck it and bought a Melosi kit if I'm going cast iron. Like, I'm gonna try that again. Um, I blew one up, but that was a totally my fault. Either that, you know me. Like, if I want to go Hobbit, I'm gonna go Metra kit, dude. Like those things are fucking
I've
so
a
hard.
previously seized Metro that I'm thinking I'm gonna do a little hone to, and I the, I don't know, it's I'm excited to play with it, but that's a winter project because
Dude, there's so much
I think
power in those things.
I have to pee terribly
Okay,
bad.
okay, we will pause. And we're back from a bathroom break and a possum chasing incident. Yes, that's a first year
Uh,
on second chance.
Welcome to Detroit. Shots popping off and possums in the basement. So
Hey, such is life. It's kind of amazing. I haven't had any rodents. Like, dude, I love my neighborhood because have messed up and left my back door open all day, and like nothing's gotten in. People, but I have like a sun porch, and you don't see or notice anything in the back of my house because like, yeah, it's not accessible really unless you're in my
yeah,
driveway. But
well,
whatever.
that we just got the squirrels out of the fucking walls, so that
What was that commercial? The squirrels are back again.
yeah,
They're
dude.
in that.
I hope they aren't back because they were like getting
Dad's not messing around this time.
no. Yeah,
Oh God.
my landlord was like, what do you say? He was like, $25 off rent for every squirrel you get.
I don't know why that hit me so hard. 25 bucks. What a fucking
Yeah,
nominal number. 20.
that's a $25 a head. That's A plus.
I'd start rounding up squirrels everywhere then.
Yeah,
Start
yeah,
picking them up
any squirrel,
side of the road.
dude. It's I exercised that once, but I just I'm kind of big, like I don't like killing shit, so
No,
I,
but Jackson, you gotta be more entrepreneurial about it and just find already dead squirrels and like start scooping them up. Like, dude,
yeah, dude, I'll make a man a hat, like
why is this got tire marks on it? I don't know, dude. That's just how we kill them when we get them out of the wall.
I can't look at it, so
Yeah.
I car.
Um. So we were talking about a little performance. We were
I
talking
can
about a
go
little.
on about tech shit forever, but
What's I'm getting you're one of the many people I always threaten I'm gonna have you back because we're right about an hour and a half. And again,
yeah.
people, I've had the flu. Um let's hear give me a couple of coolest moments you've had in mopeds and like you've been around long enough where it's hard to pinpoint a few things, but like
Mhm.
and just some of the highlight just a couple highlights like a moment in time you'll always fucking remember.
Man. Uh, let's see.
I was very
I
well I gave Jackson tons of notes. So like he could be prepared for all these questions.
I am I think my there have been a lot of cool rides that I've been on. I think I really one of my favorites was most recently I went to the Wizards rally, and
Okay.
that was such a fun like riding around Lancaster and like
Mhm.
we're like buzzing by these poor ass Amish people. They're like keep their horses controlled while all these fucking crazy bees go by and like riding. I remember riding through those like water crossings and like I don't know. I'm from the UP, so like those I've spent a lot of time riding around the woods, and it was so cool riding like in all that terrain with everybody, and there were so many people there, and it was such a blast. And then I remember riding Dubs the cowboy because the bike I had broke down, and I I we were going to some party somewhere, and I'm like I jump on the back of me. I think he had a Hobbit or something. We're just like cruising through the city and blasting through, and I remember um, the just and riding in Chicago and going through
Mhm.
some of those big tunnels and stuff, and like a lot of it's just these like crazy like visual experiences that you get with no other vehicle. It's so cool to like because you're going at like a more approachable pace.
Mhm.
You're not like roasting through things, but like it still feels like it. And
Mhm.
that's the cool thing about mopeds to me. It's like it's the fastest 30 miles an hour you'll ever go. And uh let's see. I this winter I went to the zero shop thing and everybody else friggin' wussed out. And so me and Scouten were ripping around the graveyard,
Yeah.
and just like it's just fucking blizzard, and we're like just spinning like spinning out and laughing and falling over and like uh the, the I
Yeah,
remember
Mars and I left that because we're like, okay, it's kind of dying down. Everything, and then you guys must have had like a surge of energy because
oh yeah
next thing I know, I'm looking at my Instagram at like 10 in the morning, like, okay, they're doing burnouts in the fucking shop on the that little Honda Gyro, and
yep yeah it was a silly time but
yeah.
the I think I remember what frankly like a lot of times it's even like after the rally sort of stuff. So like I went to visit the casserolers. I think I was like 23, 24 or something. And I I don't know why I was there. I I think I was visiting my grandma or something. She used to live in the Minneapolis area,
Hmm.
and before my folks were coming up, I like parked my car at my grandma's house and took like an Uber or something and got picked up by Tyler, and I rode with them. And then the day after, he had to go to work, and me and Megan took just a really cool ride around Minneapolis, and it's one of those things.
Did you
It
do the
was
Parkway ride that they do with it? And
we did
that, dude,
a
that's
ride.
such the cliche Minnesota thing to do. But know what? It's fucking awesome
It's
because
beautiful.
it's a moped superhighway. Like it's I
it,
think.
it's curvy and like the speed limit like cars aren't like super aggro
Mhm.
and there's a lot of wide open to like be able to ride in a pack or ride by yourself. It's a really cool ride and like I don't know I like the like there's like red pavement or something next to it something like that a lot of the little like bike lane interchanges
Yeah.
sort of stuff. Minnesota has such a cool road system, and like we ripped around there, and then we went and went to this little cafe. It was called the Ideal Cafe, and it's like eight like bench seats facing the window, eight bench seats facing, and that's it. And I don't know, it was just one of those like just super wholesome like I'm riding with people that I don't even know, but I know that I like them a lot and that I trust these people. And like,
And
I,
that's such a rad thing about mopeds. Like, you can be that stranger, and like people will give you the shirt off their back and be super hot. I mean, it not saying that, trying not to stick my foot in my mouth here. Like, that happens time and time again with different people in different cities all the times in mopeds. Like, that's, I can't tell you how many times that's happened to me. Like, people, yeah, come stay in our house. Yeah, come be like, you just come and go as you please. Like, that's what's so rad about this community. If you just put yourself out there a little bit like you did there.
and that's the sort of thing that I think drew me to it was like, I've, I've been around like the touring music scene and I've been around a bunch of different stuff like that. And like, yeah, there's drama in mopeds, but one of the things that really just like got it for me was I always felt pretty friggin' comfortable with people that I just met and
Mm-hmm.
people who are want to make you feel at home and are stoked that you're into the thing that they're into. And it's just such a cool, like open house sort of vibe that I, I, that's basically what I feel like I surfed on for a long, long time. And shout out to anyone who hosted me ever. Like
Yeah.
it was such a neat thing to be able to travel and to be able to call someone or like send them a message on a silly fucking forum and be like, "Yeah, dude, come on!"
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they're showing you the friggin' town, and it's I it just it never ceases to amaze me, and I really haven't like flexed that at all very much recently, but I hope that in the next year or two I can really run around and like meet more moped people again, because that's something that I just feel like that maybe I haven't been the most like steady around moped person, but I have been to a lot of people's places, and almost without fail, I feel like mopeds has always been super kind and has always given me such a great time with anyone that I meet. And like, I think something that, and not to get too into MA20, which was like kind of a, it was a shit wreck, but also it was like, I was just like, ah, my Mopus is sick. But then, I mean, there was the big fucking crash and Ryan and all that stuff. And I don't know exactly the whole shakedown of it. And I was kind of shaken up by that. I mean, like I was like on the fucking scene trying to make sure he didn't move his head too much, sort of.
Mm.
So like that was not awesome, but like I guess that's part of the joy of racing and then having ding dongs. But like the thing that I was excited about after hearing what blew over was that that club helped him pay for his medical bills after they kicked that dude out. And like that's something that I think part of the whole like gang structure, part of the whole club structure, whatever it is, I think that while I may not be affiliated with anyone, it's something that I see like when people are riding together and being like when everyone comes together and meets and does this sort of thing, it was really cool to see. It's like, no, this isn't just like a bunch of dumb punk rock kids who are like, yeah, fuck you, baby. And it was like, no, for what for for what ability they had to assist, they did. And like
Mhm.
that's that I think is, and tell me if I'm wrong, because I'm only going on here saying what I know, but like I think that in the good times and the bad times, being like, we're moped people and we want to keep this thing friendly and going. And so the idea that we all can share a certain amount of responsibility, because like we're all somewhat irresponsible, so
Yeah.
like it happens between us, thick as thieves, like
Hmm.
we're fucking around. And so that's the thing that like I've had so many fun, random, like kind of quasi illegal adventures and across the fucking pedestrian bridge in Milwaukee and like just doing all this stuff that nobody else and no other group of people I've ever met want to go just get up to some shit. It's like, yeah, let's go ride around. Let's go. I saw this weird place. Let's go see it. Like,
Yeah.
when I first got to Detroit, Andy was like, hey, get on your bike. We're going to the velodrome. And went to the velodrome. Almost crashed to the velodrome. Had a great time at the velodrome. Just like, I didn't know this was here. Nobody told me this was here. And I'm riding mopeds there.
That's rad. And I think I agree with you a lot of your sentiment, what you just talked about there. Like, it's a weird, tight knit, open, welcoming, fucked up community, if you will. Like, like especially, I can only speak for myself. I'll say stupid shit now and again, and I'll be a shithead now and again. But if people like, I've been forgiven for some of the shithead things I've done because I'm human. And like, if people don't think I'm not willing to give my shirt off my back for them, like, okay, like that's just the way I always been. Like, and I'll tell you this, Jackson, like anybody who's ever coming through Minnesota, hit me up. Like, even if it's on a layover, like freaking Conan did a month ago, like I'll freaking pick you up at the airport, buy you pizza, show you Menards, whatever, dude. Like, you want you, Conan from Smog, I think, was more amazed by Menards than he was the piece. Like, this is the greatest store ever. Like,
dude, not everyone gets to have such bounty in their lives.
No, dude, like he was amazed.
Like, what the fuck? That
He's
exists?
He's like, this is like a Lowe's and a Target and a Walmart all wrapped into one. I'm like, yeah, it's about, yeah. No pharmacy yet. There's, I'm telling you, probably now somebody's like listening and giving them the idea. And like, I know the casserolers are going to be having, at least I've been told they're going to be having a rally this year. And like, I hope they do. Yeah. Like, it's not on the calendar yet, but like it's supposed to happen. And like I tell people all the time, you've been on the show, reach out to me. You can sleep in my basement, dude. I have a pretty decent sized house. Like, you don't like, and I don't know where anything's gonna be at, but yeah, dude, people are always welcome at my house.
Yeah, I think that's the sort of thing. Like my homie Trent, he's moving back from Washington, and he had kind of a good and rough time out there, but like they were living in a boat and they were having all this sort of stuff, and he's had plenty of adventures out there, but they're coming back to Michigan, and he was just like, hey, can we just like post up at your place for a little while? I was like, hell yeah, man. He's like, can I like help me rebuild the C50? I was like, of course, like let's do it so we can go ride around Detroit. Like it's so neat to be able to like even your own city, strangers can show you new things that you didn't notice, and that's like, I don't know, just
no, dude, you're right. You're right about that. Like, they'll make you appreciate the things that are so trivial to you. It's like, you know what, you're right. That is pretty freaking rad. So what are, I generally ask people this later on in the year, what are your 2023 plans for mopeds? Do you know yet? Do you got any? Or what are your winter plans?
So winter plans, I'm just riding this last, like, until the snow flies. I'm just gonna cruise the E50 and see how much I can make friends with Makunis and make friends with. I'm working with trying to do air boxes and trying to do things and all sorts of silly little projects, but basically I'm just riding to work and riding around. But I think one of the things, like, I've lived in my van in the past, and I have a little Ford Transit Connect, and like I love my big bike, but it's a Magnum is a fucking slug to haul around, right? So I have a bike mocked up right now, and I'm testing the engine for it, but I want to build my rally bike and try to build something that is a sub, I think 75-pound bike, so
Oh
that
wow.
it's something that I can pick up, chuck in the car, because like I can pick up the Magnum, it's just no fun. And so
Yeah.
like I want something that's like feels more BMX bikey, and so I'm building. Luckily at the shop we have a bunch of fucked up old shit, and
Hmm.
so I took a beat up old frame and I'm cutting things up and welding things together, and hopefully by uh by springtime I'll have a cool little hot boy bike to bring along to rallies. But I think I'd like to be able to do Bakers if I can. Right now it kind of intercedes with some of like the bike tour stuff, but we haven't made the schedule for next year, so I'm trying to write it in. And then honestly, like I've never been to California
Okay.
or really the West Coast, and I'd love to get out there and go to a rally because I feel like that'd be the greatest way to experience it. And
It
it,
it most certainly is. I can't tell you enough how appreciative I am to the mosquito fleet for the hospitality Maddie Watts gave me, and Alex from Magic Touch for the loaner. Alex just lost his father here this past week. Alex,
oh,
you're a rad guy, and thank you very much for everything you did for me. Like Seattle's a rad city. Portland, dude, this is how stupid I am for mopeds and people. Like, I know I get shit about like all. I get some shit because I ride a lot,
yeah,
but like,
that.
but anyways, that's me being petty because I'm tired. But like, I rode all of Baker's, dude, and then we had brought a few bikes with us, my chase driver. Then we went and rode around Portland the next day. So it's just like, oh, like I rode another 50 miles around Portland that day. So it's like, it's a great city. Bring your Hobbit out there. I will say that because a lot of hills. It makes up with a high stall rate because you're gonna need it.
And that's the one thing is like I had, it was before I really knew what I was doing on like clutch tuning stuff, and like my E50 that I had built before, um I took it on like the Lancaster one and then Cleveland one, and like realizing how important like clutch tuning is, because like my motor was awesome and like temps were great and things were awesome until the 15th hill, and like my clutch is just crying and screaming, and like it's just like I'm going like 5 miles an hour at the top of the hill. I was like, I'm not used to this. This is weird. And I think like I don't know. I'm excited to go ride in different places, and I think that I have plenty of project bikes that I plan on making happen and work and everything. And like I'd like to get myself a real dirt ped going at some point. I think
Don't
that's what.
do it. It's such a buzz thing right now. I'm telling. No, I'm fucking. It seems like
Dude,
everybody wants to build a dirt pit. I'm like,
well,
just buy
I
a dirt bike.
it's dude, fuck a dirt bike. No, no. I'm I
I'm
already
fucking with
ride
you.
I already ride my stupid bike in the dirt as it is. And part of the reason why, like I bought that Hobbit in Arkansas when I was working mountain bike trail to have something to get around. When I went to Minnesota, we were working around a mine pit, and so it's just all like off-road trails. So I was like, yeah, Hobbit, perfect.
Yeah.
And then I got a DR, and then but like
Yeah.
I don't know, there's so much. I just feel like this year I've been trying to be as grown up as possible and like get my
it's,
fucking finances in order, all that shit. But like
it's way
there's
overrated.
boring. I overrated or not, it still's got to be done. So I just know that like I think I'm finally getting out of the whole like pandemic-y attitude of like I feel like I've been kind of a shut in, and not just like meeting people, but getting out and taking time before work to go take the weird way around and not just take the route. Because like there, if there's anything that I've learned from living in a million places, is that everywhere can be explored more. And
Mm.
so like where you live is a huge playground. You just need to open your fucking eyes. And
Dude,
so
you
that
hit something hard there for me because, like, I get stuck in that. You have the moped route that you always fucking take. You have your test route, and it's like, oh, you just kind of slapped me in the face with that one. Like everything can be explored more, huh?
you, you want to know what my 2022 plans are?
Let's hear it.
So there's this road that if I'm taking the car to work, I it's on my return journey, and it's called like Mount Elliott or something, and there's a turn off there that there Andy and I used to, before it was shut down. That was kind of our like testing little zone. It's opened back up to traffic, but there's one like road that is just a fucking disaster area. It's like it's a construction site.
Mm-hmm.
It's just nonsense. I haven't gone down it yet on my moped. I've been tempted, but I've had to work or been doing something else. Before the snow flies, I'm gonna go hit that thing, and there's a fucking jump just waiting for me. I see it. I want it. I'm gonna go jump that fucking stupid little 3-foot jump, and who knows what bike I'll be using, but I gotta see it because that was a place where we used to ride. Now no more. Now it's a mystery zone. So I gotta go to explore it. So that's happening before the snow flies.
Dude, that's rad. Um, so yeah, dude, sounds like you got a lot of things going on for you, especially just this fall. I just looked at the weather this coming weekend. I think I'm gonna have to try to put a ride out to Stillwater, Minnesota. I try to do that once a year or so.
Oh yeah.
So
How long
like
is that from you?
that's 30 miles or so.
Not
Like
bad at all.
no, like there and back it's like a 60, 70 mile run. I usually like do last ride to Stillwater, and maybe if I plan it early enough in the week, like I know Jake Kane's usually good for popping up to that, maybe a few others. Like, it's always fun. I'm all about putting on rides, but I do enjoy riding by myself a
Yeah.
lot. Like, I am a big community person, but I am like just want to go and
I mean,
play.
you're talking to the right guy, because as much as I've like shown up to community things, I am definitely kind of a lone bone. Like
Mhm.
I've been doing my own thing for a long time. So yeah, dude, it's great to go cruise
Well, Jackson, I think you and I are
places.
a little more the bird of the same feather. Like, I usually know when I kind of halfway connect with people, and I kind of realized that about you right away when I met you the first
Well,
time.
hey man, it's been great to meet you at rallies and stuff.
Yeah,
It's good to talk to you. And I mean, like, I don't know what things are customary because I'm kind of a luddite when it comes to technology. So
yeah.
I've listened to your podcast one time
Hey,
when I
rock and
was
roll.
working trail in Arkansas, and then I lost my phone, so I had no podcasts, and then I have so like probably gonna jump on, listen a little bit, but like,
Yeah. Well, your
tons of
roommate was on a couple years ago, and like
yeah,
it was funny because I got this like in a Andy kind of way. I got this long email from him. I'm like, who the hell is this guy? Like, and then I figured out. I'm like, oh shit, I gotta get back to him. Like,
yeah,
Andy's a good kid. Like it,
is
and one of his best friends. Before I even like realized how small of a moped world this is, like one of his best friends lives like like a mile away from me, Lee
yeah,
Pinkerton. Like
dude,
it was just
he's from Minnesota.
yeah,
Out,
yeah,
land of sky blue waters.
yes. And I live 4 miles from the original Ham Brewery, which now has a really good um, microbrewery in it, and they also make really good pizzas there. So if you ever come
So it's
back to
not just
St.
like
Paul,
desiccated ruin.
what?
It's not just a desiccated ruin.
No, the city came in and kind of gentrified it, if you will. It's actually really cool inside now, the brewery place. It
Well,
used to be It used to be kind of ruins, but like they kind of came in and like saved it before it was all kind of destroyed.
Yeah. Well, guess I can't go spelunk in that one, but
Oh,
there's,
people did all the time, like 10,
yeah,
15 years ago. Yeah.
my little brother was telling me about it, and like, I mean, I weigh those stories in the same way that one weighs a fish, but like, it's it sounded like quite the place to explore. So
Oh yeah. And I had friends back in the day exploring there like yeah, it was really really cool, but like it's there's not much of that like urban exploring available anymore in Minneapolis or St. Paul because a lot of that stuff got bought up on the cheap and got turned into something somewhat useful now other
I,
than spray painting graffiti art walls.
if whether it's good or bad, I think that there's a part of it that like I mean, I'll wax poetic about anything, and I'll take forever. And I know we all got to go to bed at some point, but like, I think part of the thing that gets me about mopeds, and like, at some point, if you want to have a chat about it, I would love to because I don't know. I went to school for human centered design eventually, and which is basically product design and ergonomics and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I learned about average consumer products, and especially the car and motor vehicles, is that for the expected lifetime of a vehicle, the amount of fossil fuels and like energy and anything that goes into a car, 60% of it to 70% of it is in the making it and the breaking it down.
Hmm.
Only about 30% of it is in the use, in the like, it's 200,000, 300,000 miles. Mopeds are like the ultimate, like almost like savior story for me, where it's like there was this little thing that they made as a whim, and then it became trash.
Mm-hmm.
And we're keeping these little critters alive as much as we can, as far as we can. And I guess like in the world of like there's e-bikes and all sorts of stuff, and you can move on to motorcycles, you buy new cars, but like if you want to save the world, fucking save a moped.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I think that that's the sort of thing. It's like, okay, well, a building's fucked up, but I guess there's people trying to do something with it now.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and I'm gonna kill your whole kind of. We were just on the outro of the show, but I'm gonna keep our conversation going because now, like, you got me thinking about stuff that's kind of it's moped related, but it's kind of off of what you're talking about. So one of my weird pet peeves about mopeds when people go to sell them and they don't know what they're doing per se, and they'll say this only has 263 original miles on it. People in the moped community don't give a shit how many miles were on the bike. Like, because I was looking at that Mondial I got. According to the odometer, it has 136 original miles.
Whew.
But it's like I've
And
seen bikes with
you know, about 100 of those were done with no fucking oil in the tank.
probably,
Dude, the horror show.
yeah. But like
Yeah,
that's what always gets me going. Like I don't know why that popped in my head. Probably a fever dream as I'm awake. But like just like that's one of those like weird things. Like, dude, that doesn't matter. Like I don't care how many miles it's got on it.
bro, your speedometer froze when you kept it in the basement the first year. Like, sorry,
Yeah,
buddy.
yeah. And
It's
like it's nice to have a working speedometer, but it really doesn't fucking matter. Like
I'd rather have
especially
a fucking pack if I could afford one. That'd be
yeah,
sick.
yeah. It's it's silly. What are I'm not going to ask you any question about annoying things because you work at a commercial business and don't need to get people thrown under the bus. But like, what's an annoying thing to you about mopeds? Like that break besides DR kits, like something
Besides the arcades,
besides
uh,
DR.
I mean, I think a the brakes can be better if you know how to fix them. If you don't, they tend to be shit. But like,
Oh, you're telling me. So Lee Pinkerton, like he got into like making front brake disc conversions for people. Well, I was the first one he experimented on. So did a little barter trade, whatever. Got one from him. Great. But on Baker's, for some reason, like my rear brakes faded, went away. It didn't matter what I did. I had no rear brakes. So I went down fucking Mount Hood with only front disc brakes. Yeah.
oh boy,
Yeah.
that's what we call spicy.
That's
Sorry,
dude. That's what we just let Jesus take the wheel on that one, baby.
dude, fucking damn. That is not an ideal situation.
You know what, dude? I was so delirious and tired. I did not give a fuck. Cause like, hey, those front disc brakes, those things were Tomos like street mates set up. Basically, they
Yeah.
weren't gonna fail. They're good to go.
I guess I think about like an annoying thing about mopeds. I think that, I mean, of course, you never know who's been at it before you.
Mhm.
And so, like, or even if you do know who's been at it before you don't know how much they gave a shit. And like, I think something annoying about mopeds is the fact that you get people with an idea of not even how things ought to be done, but like people have these fucking buzzwords, and it's not just like "give me the big bore" sort of thing. It's
Yeah.
like where they're like, "Yeah, well, just to like like put a fucking Makuni on it," or like I don't know, where someone's like, where someone comes in and they have an idea, like a kind of an idea of like what might be wrong with the bike, but the best route I ever have is like you ever listen to Car Talk?
A little bit.
Yeah. Well, if I'm gonna click and clack it, I just ask people what the noise was. Like, what kind of noises it make? Is it doing like a sort of
Yeah.
like thing, or like getting people to describe things because they have these auto terms in their heads. If they don't know shit about mopeds, but they have one that isn't working,
Yeah.
it's so hard to get any sort of useful information out of anyone because either they won't tell you and they expect it to just be like this really quick, like, yeah, we'll just like plug in a new thing. And it's like, well, even the new thing isn't a new thing, dude. So
Yeah.
I don't know. But I think that that and also people expecting like it's a moped. It like you should be happy it does 40.
Yeah.
Like that's awesome. Like
Yeah.
don't put
These
any
things these things
you
weren't
want
designed to do that.
like I this is already an ideal situation and you don't need that. And
Yeah.
someone's like, no, I want, and it's like, if you want to be able to ride this every day, don't.
Yeah.
And like I think that's one place where I'm starting to align with Alex a lot of times is like eh, there's certain things that work real well. And for me, having had so many times of not being able to ride my moped because I didn't know what was wrong with it, you have access to a shop.
Mhm.
Don't fuck your moped up. Like we're just like have fun, ride it. Like have the one working moped.
Mhm.
Don't come to me and ask me to do a bunch of crazy shit because I'm already doing this to my bike and I don't recommend it to anyone else.
Yeah. I barely know what I'm doing. So like don't it like yeah.
I'm a finger quotes professional moped mechanic. Okay, sure. I just there's a sex. It's doing weird stuff. I don't know what to do. I'm just gonna keep taking it apart, putting it back together again until it works.
Yeah.
That's it. So like
Yeah.
there's yeah, that's the annoying thing is like just enjoy your bike.
Yeah.
I
It's
don't
not it's not gonna go 60 miles an hour. It's
it's not
not.
like you want a speed bike, build it yourself.
Yeah. It's and like And I have
Only
somebody
you
like,
can enjoy that disappointment.
yeah, it's like enjoy a 45 mile an hour bike. Like,
Just jam it.
but see, I'm someone who wants to be frustrated and miserable. So that's why I'm going to be,
Here's for that.
yeah. So that's why I'm going to end up building out that Mondial. And I think that's going to be my kind of group ride / rally bike this coming year. If I get,
That's brave. I support it. I hope you have success.
I have a few things. It's all theory and people are going to laugh at me when I fail. But like I have some ideas where some people go wrong on French bikes that some French people have told me how to remedy. So like, we're going to try them. We're going to see what
Hey,
happens.
you should go pioneer that, because like I'm not gonna lie, even as someone who,
I'm not pioneering shit. I'm standing on the shoulders of geniuses. Okay.
well, then stand on those shoulders, because those are shoulders that, like, as a moped person and as someone who I know a lot about a lot of different things because I spend most of my life just reading things, is like, I feel like this is a thing in mopeds where it's like, yeah, I do, and French bikes, yeah, fuck that. I don't know. I'm bad. I'm just
Well,
like, yeah, I'm not ready for that. That's not a world I'm ready to walk into. And
see,
like,
I'm going to do the ultimate cheater thing when it comes to French bikes. I'm going to ditch all the OEM wiring and I'm going to go HPI and I'm going to build my own wiring harness like I do with my
I mean,
Hobbits.
that's fair, because I'm not gonna lie, you were talking, I think, early in the podcast about like a fucked up, also, I think I should probably turn down the volume here because I hear my downstairs neighbor moving about. But the I think that the little you have the internal coil, the little, like, it goes inside the
Yep.
fucking wheel. Um, those go bad. Like,
The
I used
lighting
one,
coil does. That's
the
when
light
I've
coil,
had.
dude. I have had 3 bunk internal things that were from French bikes that I was using on my poop, don't work.
Yeah.
Like, they work for a while and then they act like a bad condenser. It's not a bad condenser. It's the coil.
Oh, the high tension coil? Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Yep.
The little one with the elephant on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what's wrong, but elephants are bad, I guess. Like, shit's not cool. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's
Yeah.
so many fucking wheels and moving parts in French bikes that I'm just like, someday I will get up to gumption, but right now my gumption is lacking. So I
Well,
will not be involved with that.
half of it's like resentment, not like petty resentment, because like there's a few people in Minnesota that claim they're French people. One of them I have respect for everybody, but there's one guy who actually rides a French bike, and then the rest of the people just kind of show up now and again. But like
Yeah.
I have respect for the people who make a French bike their daily rider. Like those
That
people are fucking studs in my world.
So
Like,
I sing the praise, because like I think it's one of those things where if you can build a reliable one, that is an achievement. And like, I think part of it is there's a lack of understanding. Part of it is people go, well, yeah, I'm just gonna put every fucking Doppler part there is, and it's like, I
no.
don't know, dude,
Yeah.
because
That's
it's
a
like,
lot of money to wreck right away.
oh,
I'm not going
well,
that high dollar, dude.
yeah, I was about to say it. Also, French bikes are expensive, so
Yeah.
that me out too.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm talking big right now on a podcast. Like, we'll see how far deep in the rabbit hole I get, because I've loaded up that treats basket more than once, and then like, oh, that hurts.
Yeah. Well, I'm playing with countersunk heads and trying to get hero kits to truly work. So wish me luck.
Um, I got a theory about the hero kit. That's the one that everybody's blowing up, right?
Uh, I mean, honestly, no.
Which
It's like,
one's the E50 kit nobody can make work right now that
oh,
blows up? The what?
Is it the AJH?
I'm not. God damn it, Lee. I was riding with Lee.
I think it's an Athena clone.
Okay, yeah.
And it's like the port timing's off, and there's like some weird shit. We tried to make one or two of them work, and I think I don't know. I've done some cursory research, and then I think I accidentally found one that skirt cracked off or something on, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll play with this winter. So like, who knows? But yeah, it's the Hero Kit's. It's a 65, uh, like a 43.5 cylinder
Mm-hmm.
cast iron with huge fins, and it's shittily cast. It like
Yes.
goober garbage, but it's also got transfers that are like this big. They're
Nice.
huge. I bought a Corrado case just to be able to run it because it doesn't fit on the regular E50 cases. You have to weld or add JB weld onto the sides you have to add material to case to run it. So I've been looking at that. It's like this cheap garbage. There's no pistons. There's no anything for it, but you can buy them for $40 now. Shout out everybody who's listening. Like, let's play Hero Kits until they're gone. Don't save one or two for me though. They're cast iron. You can just burn them. So
Yeah.
like, but I heard about it when I was a kid, basically when I first got into mopeds, and then I ended up getting my hands on a few. So I'm trying all of the options, and it has thus far been an actually pretty fun little thing, and I think I know what to do to wake it up. So
Yeah. See, like my big problem is like like I was trying to remember the cylinder. Unless I'm into it right now in mopeds, I'm not gonna remember shit.
oh
Like
yeah,
I mean, I felt bad for Lee because like he had broke it in, like he did a couple heat cycles, and like, dude, there was something so weird going on because it was revving high, almost like it had an air leak, but it didn't because we started riding and that thing was so rich, and we got like 2 blocks from his house, and he seized it.
yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, yeah.
yeah,
I don't know. I think that like for me, I'm still learning. Like like I've only had two Reeds bikes, and like that's something that once again it's more moving parts, and
hmm
so I'm excited to learn about it, but I'm trying to master like at least my understanding of like piston ports and all that sort of stuff. I think that I don't know. I This is my true like first foray into being like I have an idea about how to solve this problem.
hmm.
I'm going to try and solve this problem. I've heard some things, I've seen some things. Like it involves like a countersunk bat of his head. So like take that for what you will. But like there's all sorts of silliness. But I think that that's also part of the fun of this whole shitty hobby. Is
Yeah,
like in no other culture is there where everyone's like this thing's broken, and then everyone's like I've got the key. No,
no, mopeds are that guy's an idiot, he doesn't know what he's doing, I will make it work.
yes,
Like,
I have the magic.
yeah, yeah. Let me unfuck this fucked thing. That's what we all think in our own head. Like,
I know, it's
because
great.
how many times have you heard in mopeds that guy's an idiot? He doesn't know what he's doing. I've said that about a lot of people. Like, that guy's an
I
idiot.
I think that's I don't I don't think about what other people say about me very often. And so that's a great way to live. I recommend it to everyone. But like I don't doubt that someone after I walk away is going like, I don't know what the fuck he was just talking about, but like, okay, like, yeah, it's everyone's got their like background that they come from, and like I'm coming from, I didn't have a puller, so I hit it with a 2x4 sort of world, but like,
I'm thinking that whole line in Ghostbusters, he's a certified genius or a complete wacko.
yeah, dude,
Nah, dude, like it's
it's
fucking
great.
mopeds, and that's what's awesome about it. Like,
you can pick up knowledge from anybody.
Mm-hmm.
You can pick up knowledge from anybody. I learned that. So you want to like you can have a E50 clutch puller on your bike. You know that?
Mm.
You have one.
Okay.
It's on your bike already. Handlebar, little arches that support the handlebars,
Yep.
that keep them on. Pop one of those off and stick an M6 through it.
Oh shit.
It fucking works. It's so good. It's so good.
Jackson
Never
just
mind
fucking
blowing.
blew everybody's wigs back right now.
I got my wig blown. I was like, that's the greatest. It's so good. And like, I don't know, that like backwoods mechanic, everyone does it a different way. Everyone has a different experience, and everyone had a stupid idea that somehow worked.
Yep.
Like, it's, I don't know, fucking, you guys make that weird kit work. I can't wait to see your bike explode or ride beautifully into the sunset. Whichever way, you're at least trying it. It's dope.
Dude, that's what it is. And like, I love to see weird shit in mopeds. Like,
God.
I finally out in Seattle was the first time I ever saw Grand Prix actually at. Yeah, I think it was in Seattle is where I saw my very first Grand Prix at a rally. Like I never seen one before. And it's just like funky and weird. Or like, I'm trying to get it.
You remember that? Were you were the Wizards rally or no?
Oh nope, I was at Cleveland,
Okay.
and I was at the Daggers rally.
Also, shout out to some fucking black bikes for some cool ass shitty bikes. I love your shitty bikes. They're so shitty. They're so great.
Dude,
Oh, they're so good.
yeah.
But it's like the garbage pail kits. It's awesome.
Sean Mahoit, his French thing he made with it was a Hobbit frame with a Magnum tank, and it had 103 motor grafted onto it.
Oh man.
Yeah, dude, that is still in just some 5-star mags. Like it's only Backroads on Instagram. He was out in Seattle.
Yeah,
like
Mahout saw it. That friggin' that green rigid chopper with the C clamp that's holding the he's been riding this thing for a long time, and it's just got a C clamp holding the head on. Like one of the studs broke and they just had a C clamp, so they kept it there and it works, so he's never removed it. So it's just this like horrific like it looks like some of the tall bikes I've built in the past, where it's just like this like crazy booger welded thing, and it's like a rigid chopper, like FA50 maybe, or like Suzuki or something. It's just horrendous, and I love it.
Yeah.
Everyone, make shittier bikes. Let's go.
Make mopeds dumb again. That's what I have to say, dude. Like, let's make some clapped out weird shit that like you're half afraid to ride next to it because parts could fall off. And speaking of which, the guy who's really good about that, and actually his bikes are pretty damn good, old Conan from Manic Mopeds. I threw his name out once or twice.
Yeah, I got to meet him at I met him the first time and at where were we? Fuck. It was in Ohio. It was
How come you did?
Nashville.
How come you didn't? Oh, were you at Nashville?
Yeah, I was at Nashville, and he was like all fucking keyed up on whatever the fuck, and he had his like crazy monster bike, and he like tried to get me to ride, and I was like fucking cased at the time. I was like, oh, dude, I will crash it. He's like you're supposed to, and I was like, you're too intense. And but the thing is, the second time, I think we were at the Wizards rally, and like he and I don't know, both of us weren't really feeling the party, and we parked nearby each other, and he needed to get some like he borrowed some tools from me or something, and we just ended up like chatting for like 2 hours. Like he can be like a big talker, but he also is just a big friendly guy, and he knows so much.
Yep.
And I love that his bikes are just like he's had a big old idea and he went for it. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, that's awesome. I love seeing bikes.
Him and his wife Jess are probably some of my favorite people in mopeds. Like,
He's one of those guys that he feels like the really scary guy you like meet at high school or something, and then you're like, oh no, this guy's just great. Like you just
Yeah.
need to take some time to know him.
like, and for me, I've never gotten that vibe off of Conan. Like, I could see how somebody could interpret that, but like, I've never gotten that from Conan. Like, just something about, like, I met him at Tampa. Like, that was my first big out of state moped thing ever, and that was on a whim. But like, love that boy. And it's, we could go on and on about all the people we met through mopeds and how wild and crazy they are, and how much like moped people are fucking rad. Like, they're some of the best people out there. But yeah, I think we're both tired and delirious at this
Yes.
point. So
Probably wrap it up.
yeah.
Again, like if my mouth doesn't stop moving, it won't.
as everybody, Jackson and I talked about him coming on the show for a bit. Now he's like, what am I gonna talk about? I'm like, oh, don't you worry, you'll be able to talk. But Jackson, I can't thank you enough for coming on Second Chance Moped Podcast.
Oh yeah, bud.
Don't forget, everybody, like, listen, subscribe. I don't say that enough. My mom gives me shit now all the time whenever I walk into her apartment. She she asks Alexa to play my show just to goad me a little bit, because I still find that weird and kind of awesome at the same time. Again, everybody, thanks you so much for listening to the show. Jackson, thank you. Like I said, dude, anytime you're in town, you're more than welcome. Come ride some shitty mopeds. And don't forget, my guy, mopeds are dumb.
Mopeds are dumb.
Later.